All right, welcome to our new podcast. I don't even think we've come up with a name yet, but
Maybe we can do that in this first episode as well. Let's figure out a name for the
yeah,
podcast.
we can figure out a name in this podcast. But welcome to the first edition of this podcast featuring myself, Dazrin, Waterbird over here, and Connor. So we have a variety of topics here that we're gonna cover. But first of all, let's just like introduce ourselves. Um, I'm Dazrin. I've been around the speedrunning and melee communities for a while, like since 2011, 2013ish. Started off with Mario 64, and then now I'm just doing melee and stuff like that. Um, Also working as a esports production broadcast producer for TGS this current moment. Yeah. So what about me?
Uh, well, I'm Waterbird. Uh, Basically, just like Daz, I've been in the speedrun community since probably around 2011, with starting off with Super Mario 64, and then I've branched off into way too many other speedruns. The main other one I've done is A Hat in Time.
Ooh.
Uh, yeah, I'd say that's probably my main second speedrun, and then I also play way too much Rocket League.
Yeah.
I have about
You got Grandmaster, right, or something, or
well,
Supersonic?
yeah, Supersonic Legends, the highest rank you can be. But
Wait, you get that?
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know you're still playing. I honestly didn't know you're still playing the game.
I haven't gotten it this season yet, but I got it last season and one before. Uh, but yeah, I have like 8,000 hours in Rocket League.
Good,
And Connor.
good number.
Hello, I'm Connor. I also have been in the speedrun community for a very long time. I think I started speedrunning Mario 64 in 2012, 2013. Uh, Outside of that, I play a lot of MMOs. Mainly right now, I'm playing World of Warcraft. Classic WoW, Wrath of the Lich King is very fun.
Yeah.
I also started playing Melee last year, or maybe was it the year before? Noah convinced me to get into it.
Let's go, Harvard.
Convinced me to get into it, so I've been playing that. I think I finally decided on my character, which is great.
Yeah, and that kind of actually segues into like the next thing, which is like, well, I guess like first I was gonna say like you know, we all have mains, and like it's hard to pick a main in a game in general. But just quickly, like what this podcast is basically it's gonna be like us um just talking about gaming topics in the melee community, in the speedrunning community, in all the communities that like we're all involved in, and anything that really like piques our interest, any like news topics or anything that's cool. Also our interests, like we love anime, music, um, you know, a bunch of different kinds of games. So whatever really piques our interest, and yeah. But going back to what I was saying with mains, you said that you finally figured one out for yourself, Connor.
Did
Yeah.
I did I
Is it
I've
is it the Sheik?
It is the Sheik.
Sheik.
It is the Sheik.
What made you land on Sheik after uh so
Uh,
many
All
iterations?
right, but before you say, I need to know, is it because of the recent J-Mook win?
No, it is not recent J-Mook win.
Okay.
It is not recent J-Mook win. When I started playing, I started with Puff, but like I was just getting dummied every game, and I felt like I couldn't improve. Like I didn't have the necessary uh skill set to be able to improve against Spaceys. And then I tried out Luigi for a bit, which is still a really fun character to me. But
Luigi's
same
sick.
kind of problem. It just felt like I was hitting a ceiling very early, which is weird because I don't know anything about the game. But uh, my time on that character seemed like it was very quickly ending.
It's just kind of like a
Uh,
phase kind of thing. Do you think? Like,
Yeah, it just kind of felt like a phase, and that like it was like, all right, well, I'm kind of done with the gimmick of it. So I wound up playing Sheik against one of my friends who mains Falco, and like I was actually like able to do things without really knowing anything about the character, and I was like, okay, I think this might be it. And I've been just grinding that since, and
nice.
I really do think that's the character.
Yeah, and as you were saying, Waterbird, like with the recent Jmook win for Genesis, like I think it really is inspiring like a lot of Sheik players. I don't know if you can attest to that or
Yeah, I think it's inspiring a lot of Sheik players just to because Jmook is he's doing things that other Sheiks have definitely thought of before, but have not actually implemented until Jmook started doing it.
right.
And so I think it's definitely starting to do that. Uh, because for me, as like a Sheik Falco main, I'm definitely starting to play Sheik a lot more than Falco just because of how how Jmook makes it look and how much fun Sheik actually is.
Totally, yeah. Like he definitely like puts a new color on it that we haven't really seen before. Where like he's like the way that he approaches the Fox matchup and is just able to just shred Foxes apart. Like the way that he just dismantled Cody and Moki. Um, like usually a really hard matchup for Sheik and Fox is really well, but yeah, just being able to really put that theory into practice, as you were saying, Waterbird, with the reaction tech chases and the really creative ways that he uses like the DI mix ups and moves and just the edge guarding in general. It's really good needle play. Yeah. I think it's inspired a lot of Sheik players for sure. Uh,
I
good
will
thing.
say watching Jmook's needles is what made me start to use the needle option like in different ways.
Mm,
Because before I was only using it in certain ways, like to try to get grabs or anything like that. But obviously, needle cancel turnaround is fantastic. But even using it off stage and all of that, I always knew was good, but I didn't know exactly
like how
how
to
to actually implement it
right.
until I saw Jmook doing it and then just started trying it that way.
Yeah, the way that he like applies that knowledge is just like it just goes so far. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Um, yeah, and as you're saying, Connor, like Sheik Falco, I think nowadays like people are saying like Sheik probably beats Falco. I still think it's even, but like it's definitely like becoming more and more like a harder matchup. In the Falco end. Uh, yeah, I think we
I'd say so.
sorry, go on.
I'd say it's too. It's just like it's a more engaging matchup than I'd say it used to be as well. Like before, any Sheik really had that tool set, because a lot of the other Sheiks also have like a Fox secondary. They would prefer to just play the Fox into the Falco because that was a much easier matchup to do and to play it. But now with players like Jmook, uh, being able to use like his needle play, his tech chasing, just everything that he can do, he's really putting a new spotlight on the character that gives a lot of hope for the future of Sheik.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
because especially when you think of like Fox Sheik, definitely, in my opinion, is not even. Fox definitely wins, except for when you think of Jmook Sheik. Jmook Sheik
Yeah.
does beat other Foxes. It's a 55-45 in Fox's favor when it's any other Sheik, but then Jmook, it's a 55-45 is Sheik.
He just flips the script all throughout.
Yeah, he just switches it.
Yep. Yeah, it's insane.
He
Like just the way
somehow
he's
he
really able
somehow
to get.
gets that 10%.
Yeah. Somehow, yeah. You like makes, and then like that's the other thing. Like he makes each stock like so worth it. Like he really like makes the most of every single time like he's able to be alive. Like there's no throwaway stocks. Like Jmook always has like a really a really good just presence on the stage every time he's alive. Doesn't really get like pushed on his back that often, and when he does, like he's able to recover super quickly and then just reverse the situation. And he's really good at that. Really good at finding those little
Yeah.
like openings where you can just like flip the script. So yeah, it's pretty good, especially when he's hitting those like pivot like grabs. Like I don't know what he does. He wave dash back actually? When he's like RTCing
When
Fox.
he RTCs, yeah. So when he RTCs, he always, well, I say always. It depends on which way they go when he first throws them. So if they're DIing left, he'll wave dash left, and if they're DI right, he'll wave dash right for the RTC check chase.
I
So
see.
like let's say they DI right and then they actually uh tech left, he'll do the wave dash forward and then dash back and grab.
I see. Yeah, it's like giving enough space out of the shine, and then like just ready if they go left or right. Like
Yep.
it's so insane. Like Yuji King still thinks that it's just like all theory. Like it's not a viable strategy because no human can do that. But Jimuk's doing it, so it's like yeah,
J-Mook's doing it, and then I would say Moki's doing it very well with Fox.
yeah,
It's in a different way because it's not like the RTC like tech chasing grabs, but the way that Moki follows up on people, I feel like is definitely in the same vein.
yeah. The thing with Fox is like he's faster. And he only needs one. Like he doesn't even need to like keep doing it. He can just go off of one tech chase. Like as long as he gets the first one, like he's good. Like he can follow up off that. If not, like just kill straight up off that. Like if he reads like that you're gonna roll in and he hits an up smash, like that's just it. Like whereas like Jmook like is gonna have to jump through every single hoop. Like if he reads that you roll back, he grabs you, and then the process starts again. But yeah, with Fox, it's like as long as you have it once, it's okay. Um, uh, but that being said, the way that you're right, like the way that Moki does it, like the way that he like looks and weaves in between the ranges, to find those is really impressive. Um, and I think it was actually a big factor for when he beat Cody and sent him to
Oh yeah.
losers. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's definitely something to talk about there. Cody being sent down to losers pretty early on from that Fox Sido. Moki was just playing out of his mind. I was watching it in the venue. Like
Yeah, he got sent back. He got sent down to losers so early and then made it all the way back to second place still. It was basically one of the insane mango runs that we've seen a million times, but this
It's
time
Moki's
Cody.
turn.
Yeah, this time it was Cody's turn.
yep.
Des, what was it like being in the venue when all that was happening? What was the atmosphere like that Moki just
Oh,
took Cody down?
yeah.
Because you were in there.
I want to know what the atmosphere was for that, but I also want to know how it was when Jmook won. Because I'm sure some people were upset. Well, very few maybe, because Jmook is, I feel like, pretty popular. But I feel like the Foxes were probably a little upset, but all the Sheiks were definitely popping off.
Yeah, no, people are definitely popping off either way. For the Moki Cody, it wasn't that set was just in the actual main room. It wasn't in the top 8 room next door. So that was like basically where the whole like Genesis main thing was, and like all the setups were right behind the main stage. And so what was happening was like um I was playing friendlies with Cine and Sig, and then um we went off, and we had finished, and we were walking towards the main stage when that happened. and we were like looking for like other TVs that were free, and uh Sig went off to find Gale and the Wise, I'm pretty sure. But me and Cindy were like, oh shoot, like what's happening up there? And we saw that it was Moki versus Cody, and Cody was down a game, and we were like, oh shit, like this is gonna happen. Moki's gonna do it, and so like, I started to take notice, and I started like cheering, and like, I was just like, yo, let's go Moki. And then so like other people like I guess started like watching, like I don't know, I started like looking around me, and people were just like looking up, and we were pretty far away like already, like we were like quite a while down, like quite a few rows of like CRT setups down from where the actual stage was, and we were just seeing it like super far away, like oh shit, like this is gonna happen. And so like um we moved forward, and we joined like the bigger crowd where people were kind of gathering around the main stage, that are, been a whole bunch of people like congregating there, but like even more so now that Moki had been up, and so like we joined them, and like we were just watching, and people were like screaming, people were like literally like shrieking at like the top of their lungs, like every single like knockdown, like it was like ah! Like people were just like going nuts, and like um and yeah, like there was so much spaghetti going on, and people were just so like on edge, and then Moki finally took it, and we were I like literally jumped, and people were like, let's go, like it was such a sick moment, like cuz that just like kind of randomly happened. That wasn't like something that we were waiting for, or like something that was like, oh, like let's go watch this set because the set's gonna happen. Like it was just like we were off doing our thing, and then all of a sudden, like, we just took notice from like a distance, and then like it all just kind of like erupted into this moment where like, everyone was just like on Moki's side, and people were chanting like his name, and like man, it was just insane. So that was awesome.
I feel like for that tournament, the especially after that upset happened, the I feel like most people wanted either Moki or Jmook to just win the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, Even before then, I think a lot of people just wanted Jmook to win. But after both of them were in winners finals, I think there were a lot of people that didn't really care too much who won, as long as one of them actually won the tournament.
Yeah, long as one of them took it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was I was like freaking out when they were winners finals because I wanted that to be grands more than anything. And I
Yeah.
was like, one of them's going down to losers, and I need them to get back to grands. I was freaking out about it. I was messaging my one friend from Montreal, and I was like, I don't know who to cheer for. I'm 50-50. I want Jmook. I want Moki. And he hit me with it. He's like, you gotta go Moki, man. Canada pride. I'm like, fuck, you're right. You're right. But Sheik,
Cheek,
he's a
yeah.
Sheik player, so we
We
kind of. Oh,
I was watching that and grand finals with a bunch of my other friends, and we instead of let him cook, because that's something like we say all the time because of like TFT and everything, just
Yeah.
to let him cook. We were the entire time, every single time he got an RTC, we would just let him joke.
Let him joke. Just let him joke. That's
We just
hilarious.
kept saying it every single time. He just needed to be let joked.
He was joking. He's joking up something. Yeah, no. Grand finals. Honestly, I don't think I told anyone this yet, but we were actually all in our hotel room for grand finals. Um, and the reason was the night before, Sig and I were just like, oh yeah, we're gonna stay up like all night, and like and then just camp the venue for good seats. Um, but then like Sinister was like off somewhere else. Like he, I was waiting for him to come back from Guildhouse, and like he just wasn't anywhere to be found. Like and there was like no trace of him. Guildhouse had already closed like 6 hours before. It was like 6 a.m. already. We were still at the venue, Sig and I, like just playing friendlies and stuff, and like waiting for Sinister to come back, and like he just never came back. So like eventually we were like, okay, like I guess we need to go back to the hotel, like just to see if he's there, like, and we can just shower in the process and like come back, so that we're not gross. Um,
And then you just never came back.
yeah, we just never came back. Like we just like plopped on the bed and like that was it. And then like I had alarmed myself for grand finals, or I had alarmed myself for top 8, and I saw like, and I was like, oh, like top 8 starting, and like I had it on my phone, and then like, we were all just like watching it, and like we are like half asleep, like half dead, but like so we were like sleeping during the breaks, and then like while the match was on, we are like, oh shit, like it's happening, and
Wake up, honey, Melee's back.
yeah, no, actually though, like we were
Ad break's
so
over.
dead, like seriously, like
I
yeah, Sinister. I was just gonna say like Sinister was like so like dead. Like he had like fought someone, and like he was like completely drunk, and like met Sage or something. Like just crazy night happened. So like we were all just like completely just like worn out. Anyway, sorry, Connor. What were you gonna say?
I woke up that morning to go to work, and I saw you tweet, I haven't seen Sin since last night at Guildhouse. Has anyone seen it? I'm like, no. He went missing. No. I was freaking out.
Dude, I was
And
freaking out.
I'm like, oh my god, please find him. And I was gonna message you and be like, have you heard anything? I was just gonna like keep asking for the next like 4 hours. But I was like, okay, I just need to not worry about this. I need to work, get some stuff done. I'll check Twitter every once in a while. And then I saw he was like,
I'm
he tweeted that he
alive.
was safe, and I'm like, oh my god, thank you.
Uh,
He's fine.
yeah, I
And
was
then
freaking out. I was super worried, but
I can only imagine what like you were going through for that. And
Yeah.
reading reading Sinister's like doc when he came out with his document, like just like his experience at Genesis and how great it was, and him explaining that night that he met up with Sage,
yeah,
and like just he was hanging out with the Reno guys, and it's like that is so sick. But holy fuck, did he scare an entire group?
yeah. Well,
Like
yeah.
holy shit.
And the thing is, like, there's no way for us to communicate, which is really annoying. Like, I think for next time, I'm definitely gonna like get like a American data plan or something, because just not having any form of communication, and like the Wi-Fi just like being non-existent, like just no public Wi-Fi to be found anywhere. Um, yeah, it was just like yeah, it was pretty scary. We got there. Um, yeah, and yeah, we were still able to like really enjoy like watching top 8, like even though it was just through the stream, and we weren't like in the main crowd. Like there was like a shit load of people there, and like we were seeing like the views that other people had, and like it was just not it. So we were just like, you know what, it's probably better that we were like cozy all together watching it. But yeah, it was a time, and we were still popping off, like we were still like in the hotel, just like, oh shit, like every single like tech chase and everything. It was just like, yeah, it was still like electric nonetheless, even though we did it from the comfort of our room.
I would also just like to talk really quickly about how, and I know this was a year ago, but the first time Jmook ever lost to a Marth in a tournament ever was Zayn Genesis 8.
Hmm.
That's crazy to me, because Jmook's he's been playing a while. Like that, I know that was his first like big tourney, like his breakout tourney, but he's been playing for so long that's just crazy to me that he would never lose a set versus a Marth until Zane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, um, he showed that he could do it at Genesis 8, and then like here he finally like actually broke through and did it. Which was just monumental for him and for Sheik players all throughout. And it's surprising, honestly, that no solo Sheik player has ever really taken a super major on their own. You know, a lot.
I
Go on, yeah.
I was just gonna say I feel like the main reason for that is just because Plup hates the Sheik Ditto.
Well,
If
not even
if
just that as well. Like Hungry Box has always been like a big problem for Sheik players all throughout.
true.
It's just hard to break that wall of Sheik versus Puff. But this was just a bracket for Jmook. Well, like the thing is, it's either a Fox or it's a Puff, and like Plup has opted to do the Fox Ditto for Fox, and opted to do Fox Puff for Puff. And um, similar thing with Mewtwo King, similar thing all throughout, but
Except Plup at Genesis 9 was actually doing Sheik versus Foxes.
yeah,
Uh which is different for him because I feel like he usually does do the Fox Ditto for that because he is very good at the Fox Ditto. Um
yeah, yeah,
but yeah, he usually goes Fox just for only 3 matchups, which is Puff, Fox, and Sheik, because he hates the Sheik Ditto.
yeah, and who can blame him, right? Especially at that
Yeah,
level. But yeah, no, those matchups are really hard for Sheik. But Jmook has shown that he's trying to do it. I mean, I think he still has yet to prove that he can do it against H-Box. But he had like the Fox path to victory, and that's definitely like the Jmook way to win. And
yeah.
not easy. Not at all like a simple task to get through both Moki and Cody. Um, Especially when they were both playing so hot. Like the way that they were playing was just insane. Moki looked like he was gonna take the whole thing. But yeah, just being able to dismantle them in the way that he did was just awe inspiring, just crazy. So yeah, always been like some kind of barrier with solo Sheiks in general, but Jmook really doing it there, and hopefully continues to push that further. Because like I said, I still don't think that he's really shown that he's figured out Puff Sheik. Although I do think that that should be even, at least. Yeah. But on that topic, the melee community controller discussion is a big thing that's been happening. Just stepping away from the Genesis 9 discussion there. Think we covered basically everything, and I don't know if you guys have anything to talk else to say about that, but I'm down to move on to um, controller discussion now because there's been a lot of discourse flinging back and forth in that realm.
There has, and I think if I think I saw that Hacks released a new statement like last night about it, and I have not read that one yet. But I saw,
Like the response to P-Task response.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
because Practical Tasks even said that they were happy Hacks like basically took them out of it, like saying stuff was their fault or anything like that.
Right.
Um, yeah, so he said he watched Hax's edited video. Okay, so Hax edited the video,
Yeah.
and I haven't watched that.
The original one was what, 40 something minutes?
Yeah. It was just
Yeah.
like him basically just talking about it.
He was talking about, and he was like, just throw. I saw he was just throwing blame. too.
Yeah, he basically, and then for the edit, he removed all of his criticism of the UCF team. And that's what I saw from PTAS.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially, what's going down, just on a high level, um, essentially, like, if you don't know anything about this, and you're just coming from the outside looking in, the Melee community has had a really big discussion on controllers. There's a method of playing the game, using a controller that is entirely digital input, so it's basically just like a fight stick, but like just the buttons. Whereas like the standard way that most people play Melee is using a GameCube controller, like I have here. Um, but with this new method that Hacks has introduced, with the box, um, people are now saying that it's just inherently a better controller, and those controllers are essentially cheating. And so um, essentially Hacks has teamed up with Altimore to create a version of Melee called 1.03 that kind of brings GameCube controllers up to parity with digital style controllers. I'll just be referring to them as rectangles from here on out, box style controllers. And the current the current way that the Melee community plays Melee is under a mod called UCF, which stands for Universal Controller Fix, and they're on their um. Well,
I
I
don't
think
know what UCF they're on.
yeah, no, it's on version 0.83 right now, and 0.84 is being tested right now. And essentially the whole reason why the Melee community plays on this mod of Universal Controller Fix rather than vanilla is because there's certain techniques that normal controllers cannot do. Like some GameCube controllers are just really old, and they can't hit certain values like the way that like a newer or a modded GameCube controller might be able to. And so certain techniques like shield dropping and uh, dashing back are just not like viable techniques to use.
Without the UCF.
Yeah,
Yeah,
without
I
UCF being
feel
on.
I think the main thing, because before I started using UCF, uh, the main thing that I could never do was pivots.
Mm,
Because there are just a lot of controllers that just basically cannot pivot well at all.
yeah. Um, Snapback is a big issue with that one. Snapback being when you are holding a direction on the GameCube controller, when you release it, a little bit of the force that was residual from when you were holding it the other way, sometimes it snaps back in the other direction, and that value of going a little bit over the other direction is generally unwanted. Um, and some controllers are worn out to the point where that value just doesn't get registered at all. And that's called a POD, or like I think it stands for it's like
I have
degradation. It's like something degradation degradation event. I don't know,
I
effect.
can tell you what Galint stands for. And that's
um, but yeah, it's something like potentiometer overuse. Degrade degrade. I can't say that word. Um,
degradation.
yeah, degradation event. Effect. Um, code, whatever. So some controllers are just worn out to the point where that snapback thing is not a problem. But the community has modded controllers on a hardware level to prevent the electrical signal from even passing to the other direction, and these are called snapback mods, and most modded GameCube controllers have this. So essentially, there are just problems with the controller that kind of affect gameplay a lot, and these problems just don't exist with rectangles. They're just not a thing with box style controllers because all of the inputs are digital. They're not reliant on an analog input method, such as the control sticks. And so this leads a lot of people to kind of believe that like, oh, like these controllers are using macros and it's not fair, that's cheating. Whereas like on the GameCube controller, players would need to pinpoint those values manually. But with box style
Which
controllers, it just kind of like a push of the button, and yeah,
yeah. Which even speaking of that, people are even starting to bring into light whether what I have on my controller even like the Wave Dash and Firefox notches, whether those are supposed to be used or not,
yeah,
because even those are starting to people say like can be cheating.
yeah. I'm also someone who owns notches on their controller.
You guys are a bunch of cheaters. You know
Yeah.
that? I
Okay.
said it in your chat the other day, because it was honestly the funniest thing I could have said. That if you're not using the same greasy, crusted, broken controller that you had when Melee came out 20 years ago, then you're a cheater.
Yeah, and you're cheating.
You are cheating.
Uh, I mean the thing with me, I don't even use the Firefox notches that much anymore because I do play Falco, but I definitely play way more Chic.
Mm.
Uh, and I mean even though those angles are still nice for Chic, it's not like it's needed.
Yeah. Um, I would say like notches are definitely like, okay, on the discussion of are notches cheating, I definitely think that they're not something that should have ever existed in the first place. Like, but now that like the cat's out of the bag, it's kind of like hard to stop people from having notches, especially when so many people have them already. Um, so
Yeah.
it just kind of shitty that like it's like, okay, like if you don't have notches, then like you don't have notches. Like it's just you're at an inherent disadvantage to other players who do not have notches, and like it's super like it's super good in recoveries because rectangle controllers don't have that. Like it's actually kind of hard to recover on a box style controller. It's a little bit unintuitive to use like the mod X and mod X, mod Y, and there's only so many angles that you can get on a digital controller, whereas like you can pinpoint any direction you want essentially on a GameCube controller since it's fully analog. Um, so that's one thing that actually the GameCube controller has over the box style controller. And
I feel like they
talking
both
point.
have their I feel like they both have their positives and negatives. Um, People just don't like to talk about the negatives of box controllers because if they talk, they don't like to talk about the negatives of box controllers just because they basically just want them banned. I feel like
Yeah.
they like to talk about the pros a lot more.
Yeah, there's definitely a stigma there. Since the majority of the community is on a GameCube controller, it kind of like makes like the politics more skewed against box style controllers because most since the majority is on GameCube controllers, they're the people that feel more slighted um by box style controllers, and so they're generally the majority that are speaking up about it. Whereas like the rectangle controllers can't really like talk in the same way. Just because like if they say like, oh, like you GameCube controllers have so much more of an advantage than us. It's like the whole sea of GameCube controller players are just going to be like, well, you have this, you have that, you have this, and like they're just never going to hear the end of it. So it's just a really weird stigma in the community right now. Box players versus GameCube controller players,
I'm
and
gonna
yeah, it's just weird.
sorry, I'm gonna get off topic just a little bit for a second,
That's
only
fine.
because what you were saying was reminded me a lot of, I think it was like 2013 or 2014 Super Mario 64
Mm.
when so I'm perfectly fine with box controllers. I do think they probably need to be nerfed a little bit. Um I don't know if the UCF 1.03, not
Or
that, if Melee 1.03 or whatever, 1.04 is the best way to do it, but we'll see how that works out. But the way you were talking about it just now with like the stigma and everything reminded me of Super Mario 64 back in like 2014 when it was based Earn God on Wii U and like
VVC.
That's my goat.
yeah, Wii VC, and
It's my God.
everyone was like, even like me and you, I know for sure we're saying these to be separate leaderboards,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and I know it's different, but it just like feels the same.
Yeah, no, it definitely actually is like very very similar in that regard, and Sig and I were actually like making kind of jokes about that, where yeah, like it feels like the OEM players are like the N64 console users. Just like to put into context for people who weren't there in 2013. Essentially there was like some uh big stigma between consoles that were being used because um, the main majority of the Mario 64 community was on Nintendo 64 because it was largely grown out of the Japanese community. And the Japanese community is all on N64 because they don't have access to a version of the game on a newer platform that is able to be speedrun. Their Wii VC version is like this patched version of the game that doesn't have
That's like,
BLJs.
yeah, it's like the Switch version
Yeah,
of Mario 64.
yeah, it's
The
called the
retro
Shin.
version.
Yeah, the Shindo edition of Mario 64. They actually came out with like another iteration in Japan that was like a special um, new version of Mario 64 with like some updated voice lines, uh, new animations, and just little sprinkles of updates here and there. But it is not suitable for speedrunning.
Speedrun. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only viable version for the Japanese community is to use the original N64, and so that kind of set a precedent of what like where the competition was. And so when the North American community got involved, we have a version of the game as North Americans uh, on the Wii VC because the the version that we grew up with is speedrunnable, and the Shindo edition never existed for us. So that version of the game, the speedrunnable version of the game, is actually on a newer platform, which was Wii VC. And that version, because it's on the Wii and not on the N64, runs a lot faster. There's no lag in certain stages. Um, Load times are quicker, and yeah, like the game just overall just moves quicker.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I think Wii VC. So emulator in 120, I know saved. It was like 50 seconds to a minute and a half, I think, if I remember correctly.
in 120
Or
star,
is that, yeah.
I think it was
And
a
then
little bit
Wii
more.
VC
Yeah,
saved like 3 minutes
yeah.
or something like that in a 120 star.
Yeah, probably more than 3 minutes. Considering all of the places now that we're discovering have lag that we didn't know about back in 2013. So it's probably
Yeah.
more like actually 4 to 5. Um, I don't, maybe not 5, but maybe closer to 4. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of time saved is the main point there. And you're driving forward, and so Siglemic was someone that was using the Wii VC version and actually beat the Japanese times on that version. And um, everyone knew in the community that uh, who is like competing in the Mario 64 community that Siglemic was using a version of the game that was obviously a lot faster. And so Siglemic opted to switch to Nintendo 64 in order to compete with the Japanese players. And so the parallel here, tying it all together, is that box controllers are very reminiscent of the Wii VC console, where things are kind of a lot more streamlined. Things are kind of done for them. They don't need to, VC users don't need to leg reduce or anything. It's a lot less things on the mind, and things are just more robust. Whereas, the N64 people are kind of like the OEM, original manufacturer GameCube controller players that are just kind of being left in the dust, that have always been there and are the vast majority, and are just kind of being overtaken by PC players. So, and back in that time, Waterbird was saying there was a really big stigma between VC players and N64 players, and I felt it. I
was one of those people in the stigma. Because I remember it pretty vividly of Alex SM64 on Wii VC beating, or not even beating, getting extremely close to Sig's. What was it then?
It was a 4909.
It was 120 star, wasn't it? It was
no. Alex only did 70, and he got really
so
close.
It was 49. So it was the 4909.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alex got extremely close to Sig's 4909, and then Sig made a base to earn God account.
Oh no. What triggered the base earn God thing was actually Hyacinth. Hyacinth was a Wii VC player, and he was doing 120 star a lot. And
okay, so the base earn God, I knew it was 120 star. I thought it was Alex for some reason and not Hyacinth.
No, yeah, it was Hyacinth. Hyacinth 27 was a 120 star Wii VC player, and Siglemic had been going for a 143 in 120 star for quite a while and was not able to do it, just barely.
I was stuck at the 144.01.
Yeah. But Hyacinth on Wii VC was able to get 143 before Siglemic, but on Wii VC. And so this stirred up this entire controversy in the community where Hyacinth actually has the world record. No, he doesn't. Siglemic actually has the world record. And so Siglemic, being the complete Chad that he is or was back then, was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna make an alt account called Based Earn God, and just completely destroy this time, and show people.
If I remember correctly, beat it in the first run.
Yeah, it was the first one.
Time in the first run of Based Earn God.
Just turned on his stream, did a 120 no reset, just completely casual. Had inverted colors on his stream, just to make it.
And there's like post music on.
Yeah. Post music going, and
that was such a good stream.
Inverted colors.
Beat the time, submitted it to the leaderboard, and then that's what basically caused the leaderboards to get segregated into N64 emulator and Wii VC.
Yeah, because at that point it just became very clear to everybody involved in the discourse that Wii VC had like a huge advantage, and this was not competitive at all. Because Siglemic was able to show that on a very clear, upfront understanding to everybody that he was actually the better player, and it was just Wii VC having the advantage that even made it possible for Hyacinth to get a 143, where it should have been like a 146 or 147 actually on Nintendo 64. So yeah, with like Waterbird said, the leaderboards actually got separated, and VC players were only being compared to VC players, and Nintendo 64 players were being compared only to N64 players, which is the way it is today, and the way that it should be. At least in a game like Mario 64, where muscle memory and execution, and just understanding of leg reduction strats and things like that are just so central to the game's competitive nature. Just the
which
very precise movements.
basically just means if we move all we've learned from Mario 64 into Melee, that box players should only play against box players, and
Yeah.
Fuck.
obviously,
Oh my
that's
god.
I don't want that. Uh,
Definitely
I
probably not the
I
solution.
yeah, I personally think that I don't even know how it should be nerfed because I don't know too much about the boxes, but just from what everyone says, they probably just need to be nerfed a little bit,
So
and it should be fine.
so here's the thing. A lot of people like a lot of people have been saying that there's still no box players that are dominating the competitive scene. Like all of the best players are still on GameCube controller, and so it's hard to make like a very compelling argument to like nerf box controllers other than the fact that like we know that they're inherently better and that everyone who's at the top thinks that they should be nerfed.
I, there's two box players that made it. I know for sure they're both in the top 100. I don't know where they both actually landed. Where did Swift get placed?
I
I'm
couldn't tell
sure
you.
Swift got top 100 in the rankings.
Top 30
And
probably.
then I'm sure Pip got like top 20.
Yeah. Yeah, Hacks and Zion as well are definitely like up and coming names of players who are
Yeah.
definitely putting out some damage on rectangle controllers. But still,
I
the point stands is that like
yeah.
the majority of like top competitors are not on box style controllers. And so like um although it would seem that it's necessary to nerf them, um just based on their mechanics, uh it wouldn't actually affect a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, and it would actually kind of, I think, in my opinion, like turn off a lot of new players to playing the game. So I was actually of the opinion that box style controllers should be nerfed, and like I hate them, and I think they should be banned. I was actually like of that camp. But since going to Genesis, I've actually like kind of looked at it in a different light, and I'm now of the position that box style controllers shouldn't really be touched all that much, and we should be making decisions as a whole, like as a community, to um that are pro inclusivity and not like uh you know removing people from the game, like m- decisions that are going to like exclude people more are going to hurt the longevity of the game, I think. um
Yeah, because I definitely don't want like boxes or rectangles to be banned because there's a majority of the box and rectangle players that because of how their hands are like can't use GameCube controllers anymore.
yeah.
And so if you ban those, they basically just can't play at all anymore.
Yeah, there's an accessibility element to all this, where like it's hard these days to get a really good GameCube controller, and especially one with like all the bells and whistles that we're talking about, and even more so talking about like fobs and goom waves, like custom motherboards that are built for GameCube controllers, that achieve a lot of the same things that box style controllers can do, and I'm one of them. I own a fob myself. So it's I'm more of the opinion now that like um we should be buffing GameCube controllers on a software level to make them behave more in line with rectangle controllers, but as a whole I feel like we shouldn't be banning rectangle controllers, and um maybe not even nerfing them. Maybe like if I can think of one nerf, like maybe like the neutral SOCD, like where You know, you can't just go from left to right immediately. Like it has to go through one frame of neutral before going from left to right. If you hold down both buttons, then just gives you neutral. Maybe that could be a thing, but even then, like I feel like it's just better overall to just um make like update UCF. Going back to UCF, um uh make UCF to the point where GameCube controllers are able to function in a similar way that matters to rectangle controllers, to the point where like it's not anymore an inherent advantage that rectangle controllers have, and it's rather more like a different style of inputting through the game, like a different form of expression. um because yeah, I just feel like if you're going to really, you know, cross out all these players that are now playing on rectangle, it's a big portion of the community that just started playing not that long ago. And if you're gonna like
Yeah.
kill them off like that, or you know, piss them off like that, it's not good for the game as a whole moving forward, like if we're trying to grow as a scene and stuff like that. um and like the thing is, like with fighting games even, digital style controllers are better as well. Like they do have an advantage as well over you know, the
Over fight
yeah,
sticks.
over a traditional fight stick, exactly. But the fighting game community has, you know, just willingly accepted that as part of, you know, the the wave. You know, it's just like a new form of playing the game, and like a different meta. You know, they've just willingly accepted that into the fold. So going off of that and seeing how their community has handled it kind of showed me that, like, okay, like we don't have to get like super draconian about this. Like maybe like a small tiny nerf, but even then I feel like we should just not touch it at all and just let box players be happy, um and just kind of buff the GameCube controller. But one thing I will say is that um there needs to be a standard. There absolutely needs to be a standard that all rectangles abide to, and a standard that all GameCube controllers abide to as well. Because right now, as it is, it's kind of just the Wild West where, you know, a box player could be using, you know, hacked firmware that, you know, gives them a bunch of angles that they shouldn't have, or something like that, or a macro they shouldn't have.
Yeah, but the
People
same goes for GameCube controllers, because like people with fobs can do the same thing now too.
Yeah, I mean, not with fobs, with boom waves, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Sorry, with Goom Waves they can do that.
yeah,
Which, speaking of which, I do have a Goom Wave, but it's not
the
like
game wave, yeah,
it's not the Goom Wave. I have a controller that was made by Gooms before Goom Wave was a thing.
yeah, before the actual custom motherboard became
Yeah.
present. But yeah, no, it's a big topic of discussion in the community, with box nerfs and, you know, things like that. But moving to like kind of like the last little bit of this topic is Axe's version of um UCF, which is called 1.03, and his philosophy regarding that, versus PTAS's version of UCF, you know, well, the current version of UCF, and you know, their philosophy behind it, because they're actually very differing ways to look at the game, and how we can improve it moving forward. Um, so just getting into Axe's philosophy. I know you guys haven't like watched his new video yet.
Yeah.
Um, but essentially, like, to crunch it down, he is in favor of essentially changing the game in all the ways that it is like broken in from a mechanic standpoint, all the inconsistencies with the mechanics. He just believes all those should be fixed, regardless, and there shouldn't be any bias towards which fixes that we do or do not include. He's very pragmatic about his position that all of these things should be fixed regardless. And it's not really like a point of contention. It should just be done.
Yeah, so instead of like UCF 1.02 just fixing like shield dropping and all of that, well, not fixing it, making it easier. You're saying everything should just be made easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like UCF's philosophy is more like making the like
And yeah, by making it easier, I don't mean it as in like makes it easier to do. I mean makes it so that every controller can do it as consistently as the other, which in turn can make it a little bit easier, but it makes it consistent.
yeah,
God,
more universal.
just give me auto L cancel already.
Just give me Rivals of Aether, auto L cancel. No, just don't even need L canceling.
Yeah, just get rid of it.
Perfect wave dash every single time.
Like,
And you definitely needed a Sheik, Connor.
ooh, for me, like circling us all the way back, like to the Mario thing, even this same discourse, like for the controller community, really seems like it's the same discourse between N64 and VC players.
Mhm.
It's the exact same thing. Like, a box is essentially a VC, right? But all the GameCube people that are mad about it and want them like nerfed into the ground are the same people that saying no, you have to play on N64 and deal with the lag. You not dealing with the lag means you're not good. It's the same shit,
Yeah.
right? Like it's the same thing. People are essentially like stuck in these old ways, and while I do think the box needs to be tweaked a little bit to be on like somewhat of a even playing field, and I don't think GameCube controllers need to be buffed because I think there's other things that the GameCube controller can do that the box can't, like angles and like having notches, right? Like there's a lot of things like that that you can benefit, and it's just funny seeing that it's almost the same fight between the two sides of a community that it was in the Mario community
Yeah.
10 years later.
Like we've already lived through this.
We've already gone through this. Like box, like we're going to get the answer eventually. We're just in a really dark age of controllers right now, and like you were saying, like you look at Leffen, he has the most controller problems. He doesn't trust people making his controllers outside of a handful of people because every controller he gets just bricks, just doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
And like you look at his Twitter feed, and how many times is he like, I am switching to box, and he's pretty good on box.
Not bad.
He's not bad. If he fully commits, it's over for people, right? But he likes the GameCube controller, so he sticks with it and he keeps going. But like you said before, there's not really a lot of people out in Europe that can make a decent GameCube controller, so he has to wait for these NA trips or get them shipped overseas to him.
And usually the overseas trips is what breaks the controllers.
And that's something
Yeah.
that's breaking them. So that's why there's so many European players now that play on box, because they're easily, you can get them more easily. That you know what you're getting right out of the gates. It's not, you're not going to get some broken notches.
Gonna be
or,
consistent.
it's going to be consistent. It's that you buy two boxes, you can plug them both in. They're probably going to play the same.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely like something that we've lived through, but at the same time, it's not like gonna be the same exact answer because of just how different the
It-
game is.
No, it
Yeah,
can't be the
because
same
of
answer.
how different the game is, and it's completely different in like a speedrunning aspect versus the competitive like melee aspect. Because the main reason everyone wanted VC and N64 to be separate was just because of the like 4 minutes of saving time in 120 star. Because that's crazy.
It's an
There should
inherent
not,
advantage. Yeah.
yeah, there
Right.
should not be like one thing that saves 4 minutes just in one run.
Just regardless of skill level, just right off the bat, like you just get like
Yeah.
head start kind of thing.
It's
No,
it's like if you had the box and the other person just automatically starts one stock down. Like
no,
Yeah.
absolutely. But like for the N64, the Mario thing, I was talking more of like the people that were just
yeah,
Mm.
attacking people that played on
The
VC.
stigma, yeah.
Yep.
And like I was a VC player because like
As was
again
I.
an N64 is not as accessible as like everyone had a Wii, right? Like it was that era. Everyone had a Wii. You could just buy Mario and play it,
That's
and that's what most people did, right? So, but then
yeah.
like you're like, hey, speedrunning's pretty cool. You get into it, and then like you were like posting times, and people were getting mad because you're not playing on original hardware.
Yep.
And
I think it's really funny when you say it like that, only because I I have my Wii still, and it has like homebrew and all of that. I still don't have Mario 64 on it.
I
I
don't
never
either.
have.
Yeah.
I've
that's
only
very
ever I've only ever played Mario on emulator and N64. And the only reason I even used emulator in the first place was because I didn't have a Game Shark. And I didn't want to learn on like without
N64.
save states or anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I learned the game without save states because I didn't have a homebrew Wii. I had a Wii U in my room,
Mhm.
which had the built-in Wii. Let me tell you, resetting the game was miserable.
That sounds awful.
That
You
sounds
had
awful.
you had to press the home button on the Wii remote, mouse like
Go
move
through
it
the
over
menu.
top of the reset button, press reset. It was awful, and I speedran the game like that for like a year.
Oh man, that's brutal.
It was so bad.
I feel bad for you.
I could my times improved so slowly just because I couldn't grind stars. I spent like an hour in Fire Sea just grinding lives,
Oh
just
man,
so I could just so I could go to Womps and die and reset that way. It was
sounds
a bad. That was a
miserable.
dark time.
Unless we have anything more to say about the discourse and like the melee community with all of that, I want to me and Connor, I want to show days or tell days about the discourse in the Rocket League
Okay,
community.
we can do
Unless
that.
we have more to say about melee.
I can segue this. I can segue this
All
for
right,
like
go
the
for it.
you,
virtual
Go for it.
controller thing.
go for it, go for it, go for it. I want to hear this.
Okay, it's the same like so with like GameCube controllers, you can get like a not perfect or a not true like directional input, right? Like you can go like halfway on your analog.
Mhm.
Box, I'm not too familiar, but I don't think you can. You either have 100% or 0, right?
Well, no, you
Like
can
you're
you can
either
mod.
there's the mod.
I
Okay.
don't remember what the button's called. Is it the mod button?
Yeah, mod Y and mod X. So
Yeah, that's yeah.
yeah.
Okay, because like I'm thinking that like with mouse and keyboard on Rocket League, where you can't half turn, you either full like you have to like keep tapping the button. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you going for discourse in KVM versus controller? Because I feel like that's not really
I'm no, it's not discourse. I'm just saying I'm comparing it to like another
Oh, okay.
example of like the keyboard, like a keyboard or a box in this sense is like you either have like a full press left or a full press right, but like on an analog you can like slowly turn it to go full left or full right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um yeah, with the like the mod buttons on box, you can like make it so that even if you're holding the button, the game only registers like half
Okay.
yeah, the magnitude or whatever.
Fuck,
It's
Rocket League
extremely
player.
hard to do.
Dude, Rocket League players need that. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Yeah. They thought of everything with the melee thing. But yeah, no, that yeah, the keyboard and mouse is definitely really rough for Rocket League for sure.
Yeah. But I want to go into the Alpha Boost slash like what is it even called? Gold Rush? No, that's the event. Is it Gold
Uh,
Rush?
I think it's Gold Rush.
Okay, the slash Gold Rush boost. So for those that don't know, I don't even know if Days knows. Um, there is an entire set of an inventory, which is 4 items. There's wheels, boost, antenna, and
Hat.
hat. That you were only able to get if you played in the alpha of the game. They did not give out any more of these except for to the alpha players They never will. Like basically everything like that.
Is it like the party hat in RuneScape or something? Like,
Yeah, basically.
Sort of. So
The-
another way to look at this,
Mhm.
quickly, Rocket League is a sequel. If you didn't know, it is a
Yeah.
sequel to a game called SARP.
Supersonic acrobatic rocket powered battle cars.
And you had to
Oh,
play that game, which was on like the Xbox arcade,
Hmm.
in order to get invited to the
the
alpha of Rocket League to get those items. So that was the only way you got it, and then you got a code to like get your items.
Mhm.
Which then like, so you can imagine these are pretty rare. They're
Yeah.
not trade locked, so you can trade them to people.
Mhm.
Which
And the discourse for this basically starts in the fact of
Huh.
the alpha boost is like the boost like that you'd use is 100% the best boost in the game. The sound is great. It looks great. Um, it's just easily the best boost in the entire game. And I don't think anyone that thinks about it clearly is going to say anything different. It's the most like sought after boost in the entire game,
pretty
which
prestigious.
basically means the boost I think at the moment is probably between $4,500 to $5,500 if you were to buy it.
USD.
Yeah,
USD, no, I'd say it's going up every day because
because
there's only so many on the market.
there's only a certain amount of them, and there's never going to be more. There's just that certain amount. Which me saying there's never going to be more is where the discourse of this actually starts. I don't know exactly how it works, and it
Okay.
doesn't really matter for the story either how it works, unless Connor knows how it works.
So I watched a video to kind of try and understand it.
Okay.
So I sort of know how it works. But there was this thing where you could trade the alpha boost to somebody. So you needed one to start with, and then you would trade it to somebody, and then they would claim to Psionics that they got hacked and they don't have their boost anymore.
And then
And Psionics would give it back to them, but would trade lock it so it couldn't happen again. But you could keep doing that over and over. And because Rocket League is now a free game, you can make a new Epic's game account, trade the alpha boost to it, trade it off that account to a new account, make the same claim, because all that they would do is check that account. Yep, account says it had alpha boost. It would go through the check. It would give you this trade locked boost. You can merge accounts, which is how all these players wound up getting banned, is they would pay money to get one of these accounts that has a trade locked alpha boost, merge it with their actual account that they've been playing on for the last 5,000, 6,000 hours, and suddenly they have an alpha boost.
Yep. So
Wow.
how it worked with a bunch of these players is, so there's like the bubble scene of Rocket League, which I don't know if you know exactly what that means, but I'll go into it. So
Yeah.
there's the pro scene, which is like all of the active pros. They're in the Rocket League Championship Series. Like they're basically like they're the best. There's the bubble scene. They're right under the pros. So like the bubble scene would be the people that like upset at a major and get a higher placement than the others. Like that would be like the upset, is if the like a bubble team beats a pro team.
Like the tier
That
2.
would be like, yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
like the upset.
These are all the new upcoming players, and all these players like retire or aren't good at the game anymore and get replaced.
Yeah, so like that's the bubble scene. A bunch of these bubble scene players wanted Alpha Boost. I bet some of them didn't even know they were buying trade locked Alpha Boost. I don't know. Well, unless they merged accounts, in which case they would know.
A lot
But
of them are merged accounts. I'll go into that in a sec.
yeah, so how it worked is they wanted this, but they didn't want to pay the like outrageous amount of money that Alpha Boost is. And so these people would sell it to them at a lower rate because they knew they could just get it again, basically.
It was 1,000 USD.
Yeah, it was $1,000 instead of the like $5,000 that Alpha Boost is actually worth.
Right.
But because it wasn't real Alpha Boost, well, it was technically, but because they didn't get it in like a legitimate way, and in Rocket League's conduct, like code of conduct,
RMT
you're not
banned.
supposed to pay money for any in-game items ever.
Okay.
They banned every single person that had bought one of those Alpha Boosts. And a lot of them were like very good up and coming players. I think, did T Corral make it into RLCS this year? He
I
might
have no idea. But while Noah's looking for this, yeah, this was like the next generation of Rocket League players. This was going to be the pro scene in like 2 years. 2-3 years, they're all banned.
Yikes.
And the reason I was saying is a lot of these players knew what they were doing, Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, not all, got unbanned as soon as they unmerged accounts.
Oh, really?
And they took that because the only part of those accounts, some of those accounts that got banned, was that Epic Games account that had that Alpha Boost on it.
right.
So as soon as they unmerged accounts, they were unbanned. However, Psyonix then manually banned a few of them.
Oh, I'll have to look
Yeah,
at that.
okay, so Psyonix released something that basically said you're not allowed, like, it's in our conduct, like, code of conduct thing to never pay money for items. Like, this is not supposed to happen.
Right.
We will unban you all. The only people that will stay banned are the original account owners of the Alpha Boost. So they banned all of the people
Who duped?
and kept banned all of the people that actually like duped it in the first place.
Yikes.
I know I sent it to you, Connor. I know I sent you this list. T Corral. So, to go more into it really quick, the RLCS has an opening, like, has an open group stage for, I think they only, okay, sorry. I think they only keep 4 or 6, I could be wrong, of teams every year, and then everyone else has to make it in through this, like, open qualifier.
They did make it, by the way.
I know. Yeah, I looked it up. And so the registration ended a few days ago because like this just happened.
Right.
It ended a few days ago. Psyonix had all of these players banned, like these bubble players banned for like a week and a half to 2 weeks. Never released a statement, never talked to anyone, even though everyone was asking them like, are they ever going to be unbanned? Like, is this just like a 1 year thing? Because they've done things before where they'll ban people for like a year or two for like what they've done, like bad things they've done. And Psyonix just never ever came out with anything. Finally, they come out with something the day that the day that the bracket, like, it was supposed to be closed for entry, like the entrance was supposed to close, it was closed that day, and all they did was they unbanned everyone and they said, we've changed the lock-in date to tomorrow.
Oh my
They
god.
moved it back a day, and there were a bunch of these teams that didn't think they were going to get unbanned, and so they just like found new people to play with. They found like they just found like people that weren't banned to play with, or like the banned player. Like, so many things were happening.
And it was things like it could have been all 3 players on a team. It
Yeah,
could
we're
have been
banned.
1 or 2, right? Like, and if you're looking for 1 person to fill your role, like that's a little easier. But if you're looking for 2 people, that's going to be tricky. And obviously, if all 3 of you're banned, you're just not playing.
Right.
Yeah. So they unban all these people, and it's just like I just looked it up to see one of the players that did get unbanned, like one of the bubble players that got unbanned, did make it into RLCS this year.
Okay.
So I guess it's a good thing. It's a good thing he got unbanned.
Unbanned, and he's a pro player.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's
So
go.
what do you? This is your first time hearing about all of this. What do you? What do you think about
Well,
all that stuff that was going? Like these players most of them knew about it. I might say maybe a few of them that got banned may not have known that they were buying like duped Alpha Boost.
Because I
But
think I don't think I don't think all of them knew, because I think it could have been like, yo, dude, I just bought an Alpha Boost from this guy for like $1,000.
yeah,
You should get one like before the shit goes away. This is crazy, right? Like it's an exploit. It's obviously like very bannable. But like you see how cheap it is, like you're going to take that risk no matter what, because my friend did, he hasn't got banned yet, and he bought his like 2 months ago, right?
Like a hype wave kind of
And then
thing. Yeah.
yeah, and then you kind of get the instructions on how to do it. You're like, okay, yeah. So you do it. You're buying this account, because it's even like marketed as like you're just buying this Epic Games account, because the guy who's selling it is the one making all the accounts. You're just buying this account for $1,000.
The thing is, like, they
And then
didn't
merging.
know. Yeah, they didn't know like the method on like how it was created, but they still knew that they were buying like an in-game
buying
item.
something that they shouldn't have. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like
Which-
the main thing for me is, what do you think about Psyonix came out with something, said they were banning all these players. They were banned for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Never came out with anything else even after all these people were banned, like all of their bubble players, like people that could be in the pro scene, and they just never came out with anything until 2 weeks later.
Yeah, it's a complete mess. Like, it's I mean, it's just a lapse in communication from the developer, really. Like, they should have just had like a statement and like, communicated their decision, right off the bat. Obviously, like, it's really easy to look at it in hindsight, obviously, but like in the moment, I guess they just didn't know how to handle the situation or something. But yeah, like, I think it's definitely like Psyonix who really dropped the ball there, and really like shot themselves in the foot in terms of like, the overall competitive health of their game. So as you said, like, these up and coming players are like, the lifeblood of the future, the competitive scene. And just like circling it back to like what I was saying about melee and box players, like, I feel like it's a very similar thing in that regard, where like, if you ban box style controllers, like, you're banning a lot of this like tier 2 up and coming scene that will, eventually become the lifeblood of the scene moving forward. And so Psyonix, I think, like, realized this a little bit too late. And as you said, like, by that point, like, people's careers are already over. Like, people are losing their jobs and being replaced. And like, there was just so much uncertainty there. So like, what's like, what's an esports organizer gonna do? Like, they're just gonna, like, like, okay, like, I guess our players are banned, so like, we're just not gonna be involved with these events. It's just like, no, like, something's got to give, right? So
Yeah.
it's just like, it's just really poor communication on Psyonix's part. And it's like nothing, you know really wrong with the teams that are having to, bear with the lack of communication on Psyonix's part, and just needing to move forward on their own accord. That being
There
said,
is
like, it is
Oh,
good.
yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, that being said, it is good that like Psyonix did like unban some players, but like, you were saying that like they also still manually banned some players after like they found a way to get out of it. So it's like, what is really like their prerogative here? Like, do they want to, crack down on these cases where these alpha boosts were bought, and that's like the precedent they want to set, is like, you cross our code of conduct
Well,
and you're
for
banned?
that,
Or
Well, the
for
way
that, like Connor was saying before we started the podcast, there was the player that just got hacked recently, OSM, and his Alpha Boost was actually
legitimate?
taken from him. Yeah, he is never going to get that Alpha Boost back because they are not giving them out anymore, even for people that got hacked and got them taken away.
Right.
So like that, it just does things like that even more. Uh, where if for some reason or somehow you do get hacked or anything like that, you're kind of just screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really shitty. That's really shitty.
I will
Yeah.
say with a big thing, like a lot of these bubble players, like I think it's lesson learned. Like they're all down $1,000. They're not getting that money back. Uh, as well, like they found a way out of the ban because it was Psyonix only banned the accounts that had the trade locked Alpha Boost, which were never any main accounts. It was all just these Epic Game accounts that were 2 days old and then
Yeah.
purchased. And then because that was the banned one and they unmerge, uh, they're unbanned. But Psyonix still wanted to like ban them, and this was still when there was no statement made from Psyonix when they rebanned most of these
And
people.
I do want to talk about the statement Sonics came out with really quick. I was trying to find the tweet, but I can't find it. I really thought that it was AppJack that did it, but it may not have been. It may have been someone else. Uh, like a week or so, I think it was like a week or so after all of these like bubble players got banned and like all these like people got banned for having the alpha boost on their account that they shouldn't have. One of the actual Europe pro players, like the one in pro play, put out a tweet and it said, "Why am I banned? WTF?" And it's a bait tweet. He wasn't actually banned at all. Like it was just a bait tweet just to be
Oh,
funny and just to like
just to
bait
stir
and
up
all
the
this.
pot. Yeah.
Yeah. But because he's a pro player, one of the Psyonix developers actually reached out to him and DM'd him and said, "Are you actually banned?" Legitimately actually went out to him when all of these other bubble players never got a response to anything. But because he's a pro player, he got DM'd, messaged by Sonic's developer asking if he was actually banned. And so that stirred up the pot even more because all of these players were like, "What the fuck? Like we never like we've messaged you, like we're getting banned. This one person says he got banned, and just because he's a pro player, you're just automatically going to
Like just give
like
him the free pass.
message him. You're
Yeah.
gonna give him a free pass."
Like where was ours? Like yeah, no,
And
that's
then
like
it
really
still
shitty.
took a few more days after that tweet came out for them to unban everyone, and like it was
What a mess.
I found the statement and I posted it in Discord. It's also very funny. I should mention, Psyonix's like main method of communication with the community is their like official subreddit,
yeah,
which
which
is very funny because it's like
no one,
you'd expect
no
them to
pro
make
player ever uses.
you'd expect them to put something on their website.
Yeah,
You're an esport, use your fucking website. Build
they
your
don't
own
use their
brand.
website for anything. You can't even
No,
find the bracket on their website.
no, it's insane. It like it reminds me so much of like RuneScape and with Jagex, where like you get banned for like no reason. Sometimes there's reason, right? Like sometimes people are botting, whatever. But like people who have been falsely banned have to make a post on like the 2007 Scape subreddit, beg for upvotes so it gets seen by a mod so they can like look into it.
Yeah,
Because they just their help outside of like the subreddit is just abysmal and they won't do anything. It's insane.
I'm just reading a little bit of the statement here that you posted, and it's like seeing one part of it. Like, we appreciate how this issue has impacted the bubble scene and the broader Rocket League esports scene. We want to communicate the following. And there's
we
3
want to
points
communicate the
here.
following. We never said anything for 2 weeks, but
Yeah. Then now they're saying like, yeah, accounts that have been unbanned as a part of what's outlined above are eligible to participate in Psyonix operated Rocket League esports events as they are now in good standing. Basically, just reverse that. Accounts and individuals that remain banned will not be eligible to participate in Psyonix related Rocket League esports events as their accounts are not in good standing. And to mitigate any roster issues related to the bans, they're extending the RLCS deadline to the next day, basically.
yeah, which they just put a date, but it's literally just the next day. It was like 24 hours.
My goodness, man. Yeah, that is that is a mess. And it was all like it's all completely avoidable. Is like the painful part. You know, if their community manager or whoever is involved with like their you know public affairs stuff, like if that was just all dealt with and communicated right off the bat, they wouldn't be having like these issues, but they kind of just like dug their own grave by just not saying anything until like the last minute. And yeah, and I feel like this has been like kind of a problem with like bigger esports developer titles, is like they just don't have like a direct line to the community a lot of the time, and so they don't realize that something's a problem until it is, and oftentimes it is. It's just like too late at that point. So yeah, it's just unfortunate that it was a communication issue, and I think this situation and many others before, like it kind of just shows that like a community manager role is definitely needed in these kinds of companies, because like it's so hard for the developers who are just like consumed in their day to day of just working on the game and meetings or whatever it is. It's hard for them to really have a foot in the water and engage what the community is up to, and how they're feeling, and if there's any issues there. So it really does show that a community manager type role is definitely something that more companies with a big esports following should be looking into. It's not easy to communicate that from when you're just like a Joe Schmo in the community, as opposed to being a pro player, like you were saying, who can just make like some joke tweet and then get the attention of these kinds of higher level developers.
I would also like to say one more thing just about, so when Connor was talking earlier about how like Psyonix basically uses Reddit as their main source of like news and putting out anything, which I think is crazy. What I think is even crazier than that is that what they use for brackets and everything like that is one of the worst goddamn websites for finding anything ever.
Oh, man.
I wish just everyone would use, what is it now? Start GG. Can everyone just use that? Why are we using fucking Liquipedia?
Oh man, Liquipedia.
For our RLCS like main brackets. Do you know how shit that website is compared to Start GG, or compared to like probably even any other website you can find for like brackets?
I think Battlefy is pretty good. Just putting that out there. I think Battlefy has a pretty standout system, but yeah, Liquipedia is not
OG one.
Yeah, because for like Liquipedia, you have to scroll so far down to find the bracket, and then once you find the bracket, you have to like find the team. And let's say you're not like that well versed into the Rocket League scene. Let's say it's like Team Dignitas versus Team Oxygen. You're like, wow, I wonder who's on those teams. You have to fucking scroll all the way back up, find both of those teams, press on each team page individually, see the current roster. When in Start GG, you can just, like, if you see something on the bracket, you can just click on the bracket. It shows both rosters, both names. It's so much easier.
So all the information's right there, and that's how it should be. Yeah. That's definitely something that the community at large has to like migrate to something else. That sounds pretty rough, but yeah, I think like it's just there's a lot that probably needs to change from the community kind of standpoint in the community. No, it's
Well, I also think this is probably enough for us to be talking about for one podcast.
Yeah. No, we
I think the next one we do, we still need, well, we still want to talk about.
We need a name, dude.
We fuck.
You 2 hours ago, we'll figure it out in this one.
Yeah, we will figure it out. But yeah, basically this podcast is going to be I can't think of the word, like a random mix of different gaming, because we're all in different gaming spheres. So like me and Connor can talk about Rocket League. I can talk about League and TFT. Daz can talk way more about Melee than any of us, even though We all play Melee. Connor can talk about WoW. So it's
Y'all,
just going to be a
yeah,
bunch of different information about all of that, and like anime and stuff like that.
yeah. It's just like all the communities that like each one of us are kind of involved in, and we all just kind of bring, the news that is like at, the tabletop for us. Just the table at large, and we can kind of just add color to it as necessary, and just kind of get everyone's thoughts, and yeah, like just we can all just get together and talk about current interests that we have, like, well, just anime that we're watching, games that we're playing, stuff like
Yep.
that as well. So it's gonna be fun. And I had a lot of fun with this one. We went like way over like what I thought we would, but it was like good
I
discussion.
had a
So.
feeling we were going to start talking, and then we were going to get halfway through what we had planned to talk about, and we were going to be like 2 hours through, and that's about what we got.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because
We blew through the first like couple topics, and I'm like, ooh.
the only one we blew through was intro.
Yeah.
You can't tell them who we are, you know.
I don't like. We
You
didn't.
gotta keep the stories throughout.
I don't think we even said anything about who Days mains. Days mains, by the way, Falco and Fox.
Yeah.
Mainly Falco, but he's thinking about switching to Fox again too for some matchups.
Yeah. Going back to that whole like who we main. Yeah, Falco
I
is definitely like, my guy.
Yeah, I was like, I very offhand put that I main Sheik and Falco, but yeah, like that was supposed to be part of something.
Yeah. We kind of got there, I think. Like, I don't know. I am trying to be like a dual main space scene now, but I don't know. Falco's just so much fun, and I always just know like he can do it. But when I play Fox, it's just some matchups are just so much more straightforward. And then it gets me in like this Fox mentality where it's like, oh, I can just use Fox for every matchup. But then like quickly I realize like everyone is so much better against Fox. Because like people are just used to it. So it's like this weird thing. Like some people are just good against Fox, some people are good against Falco. But it's nice either way to have both. Um, yeah. But yeah, this is gonna be pretty much it. We all just started watching Bocce the Rock.
Yep, some good old Bochi the Rock, and then they both of them do not know what this is, but when it comes out this year, I'm going to force them to watch Solo Leveling as well.
Solo Leveling?
Because Solo Leveling, I know for a fact, both Connor and Days will love.
Solo Leveling. Okay, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
down. I also started watching the new season of Record of Ragnarok. I know like you're not really a shonen type guy, Waterbird, but
You say that. I've read all of One Piece twice, but
true.
I'm collecting Attack on Titan back there. I have the box set of Demon Slayer.
Okay, yeah, this is way more than me. So, yeah. I don't know how you feel about Jujutsu Kaisen. I personally kind of like it.
I'm currently caught up on the manga of JJK.
Nice. Yeah.
I was thinking about I was thinking about names for the podcast, and just I was like, what if we just combined all of our names together?
What
We've
would
got
that even be?
we've got the
Water Connies?
we've got
I
the
don't know where this is going.
we've got the CawnrinBird.
The CawnrinBird?
Holy fuck, man.
This is the CawnrinBird. I'm down.
CawnrinBird cast.
The CawnrinBird cast. I like it. All right, that's what we'll go with. Down.
Oh, Connor,
Hey.
you down?
Yeah, man.
CawnrinBird cast.
The CawnrinBird cast. Every week or whatever we decide to do.
Don't know when we're gonna release this one, but I guess we'll record like every Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
I'm down with that.
That works out for me. And yeah, well, I guess we'll just like all have to like think about like stuff to bring to the table each week.
Yeah.
Just like in all of our gaming circles, and then yeah, we'll just board and just do the shit. So cool. That's gonna be it for the first edition of the Conran cast. Any last words from either of you? I think it was fun. Uh, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to the next
I
one.
enjoyed it a lot.
I had a good time. I was a little nervous when we started. I was like really bad with like public speaking, and like I know this is nothing like that, but it's just like I was like getting that little bit of anxiety from it. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, a little bit. It was like a little bit in the beginning. Is a little uneasy. It's just like, okay, like I guess we're just getting started now. But like, yeah, I think as like we kind of got into the topics, like we kind of ease into our own a little bit and became very comfortable, and we all had a lot of color to add each each situation.
Each situation.
Each situation. Oh, last thing. We all kind of just touched on who we all main, but like, let's just like get in there, like what color we all use, and the evolution of how we got to the color we got, just real quick, or like maybe we can just cut this in somewhere. But
Yeah,
I
I'm down.
yeah, I right now, like as Waterbird just mentioned, I main Fox and Falco. Mostly Falco, but I did main Fox in 2013 up to 2020.
And man uses neutral colors of both.
Yeah, and I use neutral colors of both. I used to main Blue Fox and I used to main Red Falco, and the reason why was because my Fox was directly inspired by Hax's Fox. His 20XX movement and his like rise to glory on GameCube controller. Coming as a Falcon main and picking up Fox and becoming as successful as he did was inspiring to me as a new player from coming from PM at least. To get into Fox and get into this 20XX movement. And so like I decided to make my color based on Hax's color, which is blue. And later on down the line, I played Melee on and off, mostly actually kind of just fucked off of Melee after 2013 and just focused solely on 120 star. But I came back to it eventually through net play, and then finally in 2020 for real through Slippy. And at that point, I was like a lot more interested in Falco, and Westballs had influenced a lot of my style of like, okay, you can just kind of back air up tilt and then find the openings through that, and not really need to rely on lasers so much. So because of my inspiration from Westballs, I wanted to be a Red Falco. But all this changed because Waterbird mained Red Falco as well.
I don't even main Red Falco
anymore. Yeah.
But because I was so close to taking Red Falco.
Do it. You can do it now.
Yeah, you can do it.
No,
It's free now.
Red Falco.
But yeah, no. As I was saying, like just all my friends who I was playing, I was mostly playing against Waterbird at the time. Main Red Falco, and then I played Dobie. He also plays Red Falco. So eventually I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna be neutral Falco. I don't have to pick my color, and Mango uses neutral. So and my current inspiration for Falco is Mango. So it kind of lines up with my past philosophy of choosing colors based on the people who inspired me. But I do want to move on from neutral Falco eventually to Blue Falco, because I think it just looks cleaner, and Ginger and Fiction have inspired me a lot over the past year. So
Fiction's Twitter inspires me.
Fiction's Twitter is something. I love that. And then yeah, I just use neutral Fox just because Leffen uses neutral Fox, and I don't know, I'm just too lazy to choose a color, if I'm being honest.
Leffen's my goat. I'll say.
For me, I started out as Red Falco just because, well, I mean, honestly, I started the game as White Marth.
My man.
Humble beginnings.
My man.
I don't even use White Marth anymore. I use the like, I don't even know what
Blue?
color it is, like Black Marth or Blue Marth. Yeah, it's like the really dark one.
Oh yeah, black, yeah.
But yeah, so I started as Red Falco just because Red Falco is sick. And then I used Red Falco for like probably 3 years or more. I used it for a long time.
Wow.
And then I just got to the point where I was like, I don't know why, but like seeing this red, I'm like a fucking bull. It's making me more aggressive, and I need to be more like not aggressive as Falco. I need to calm down a little bit, and I just changed to blue, and I literally felt like I started playing better. It's probably just massive placebo, but I was like, I'm keeping it. I'm keeping the red. I'm keeping the blue Falco now.
Yeah, just more patient. Just like,
Uh,
yeah, this is working. So
and then I have always used for Sheik the blue Sheik, just because
light blue one.
I like the neutral Sheik a lot, and this is basically the exact same as the neutral Sheik, but instead of like her main insignia on the front being red, it's black,
Mm.
and I like that.
Yeah, it's a really
Other
good
than that,
color.
it's basically it's a lot of the same as the neutral.
Yeah, for sure. And you, Connor, you said you're a green Falco now.
I'm green Sheik and green Falco. I was red Sheik, since I started playing Sheik. Uh, I just liked the color. I thought it was really sick. Uh, but
I have to bring this up. I'm listening to a Spotify playlist with Connor. Listen along together with Connor.
Right.
The song that just started playing is called "The Color Green."
hey man, I didn't even notice. That's really funny you brought that up. That's
Wow.
so funny. That's so funny.
The song just switched over when Connor started talking about how he's green now, like green Falco, green Sheik, and I look over and I see the color green.
Just all the elements are aligning. Just like
I'm the protagonist. It's me. It's me.
It's in Connor the whole time.
It was me the whole time. No, but it was just like I don't want to say I was bored of Red Sheik, but I just felt like it wasn't the color for me. I think just like subconsciously, I was comparing myself to other really good Red Sheiks. Just like you were saying, like you're heavily inspired by the Falcos when you choose a color.
Mhm.
And Red Sheik, the probably one of the biggest ones being Mewtwo King. And it's like, I'm not Mewtwo King. I won't ever be Mewtwo King, right?
I mostly remember Mewtwo King as actually the black Sheik, but I do now recall, like, now that you bring it up, that he did use red.
He used red for
Sometimes
a very long time.
he used red mostly in Sheik Dittos, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I remember anyway.
I was like looking at
Base
it, I
roll
think
uses red.
yesterday. Yeah, I was looking at it after I like switched. Even I was looking at it as a list of just like notable players who played each color. Green Sheik is Amsa.
Oh yeah, brother Amsa.
Yeah, brother Amsa.
Yeah.
Brother Amsa.
Yeah, the inventor of the Amsa tech. Actually, he wasn't some color I can add there. Amsa actually did not discover the Amsa tech.
He just made it
He
bigger.
yeah, he just brought it into like very practical light, I guess. Like he was the first person to really like use it a lot and use it intentionally. But Magus
And
actually was the person who discovered ASDI down tech. He was actually the first one who theorized it and came up with it. Just as an aside, he
and
made a video about it.
and for some reason, if any of you listening don't know which Amsa we're talking about, it's not the Yoshi Amsa. It's
No.
the it's
It's Amsa with an H.
it's Amsa with an H.
Yeah, Amsa, Amsa from Europe.
Yep, the European Amsa.
Yeah, ASAI down tech was just not a thing back then. Seeing your character like just fly off the level and then just like all of a sudden just not go anywhere on the edge like while you're teching was like something that no one had seen back then.
You're just like tech rolling like at supersonic speed in place, and you're like, what is happening?
And you're just like.
It's funny to say that though, because it was like when I first heard of like Alms Attack, it was like, oh, like the Yoshi player. Like I knew nothing about Melee or like Devil players. I was like, yeah, oh, so okay, it was a Yoshi player. And then like finding out like, oh, I was like, oh, Almsa played Sheik. That's really cool. Oh, it's a different person.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes way more sense. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty confusing. It goes pretty deep. Quite a few layers to get get there.
to get to the European AMSA.
Yeah,
I wonder
got
how many
there.
people think that AMSA Tech is not spelled with an H.
I'm sure there's a ton of them. Yeah, and then just going back to like the whole colors thing, I do think the color that you choose definitely does like have some kind of an impact. Even if it's just like mental, like it does have some kind of an impact of like your identity within the game, how you see yourself, how you want to play, and a lot of the times it's really accurate. Like Zuppy, I remember, came up with a tier list of Fox players who um who use certain colors and like how they usually approach the game, and it was scarily accurate, very scarily accurate. Like the white. Go on.
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say my favorite tier list that I found on someone on Twitter was the tier list someone made of Falco colors and whether they would uh leave a Slippy game like after the first game.
Oh
It
yeah.
was it was red. It goes if they lost, automatic leave. Blue was like play a few games then leave. Neutral was like play forever. And then green was if win keep playing, if lose if lose leave.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. In fact, green probably like you get grabbed and then they leave. You just take it like another level.
I've already hit escape when I got grabbed. I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I'm not even home anymore. I went to the store.
Yeah, no one's home. But yeah.
Well,
I think
that
that's
tier list
it.
thing, like I know Toph did one as well.
Oh, did he?
He goes over like all players and like where they are on like Slippy, for all
Yeah.
characters, and then he like breaks it down to some colors. It's really funny.
It's really accurate. So like there is like some correlation with like people's personalities and like the color that they decide to pick, but it seems like from the outside looking in, it doesn't really matter that much. But as a melee player, when you really get into it and you really start to immerse yourself in the game, like it definitely becomes more and more like of a core aspect of who you are in the scene and within the game. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, like if you pick black or pink Falcon. Blue or pink Falcon? Yeah, maybe it's blue. Blue or pink Falcon, you're going to be tech skill savvy.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be a style monster. That's for sure.
You're only going to care about style.
Yeah. It just somehow just manifests that way. Yeah, it by extension it like kind of shows a little bit more of who you are within the game. But yeah, that being said, I think we've covered everything now. If you guys just have like some things you want to plug about yourself or like things to close out, yeah.
Basically, I'm just excited for the CawnrinBird cast to keep going.
I'm excited for the next one as well.
This is good.
Alrighty.
Stopping point for this one.
Yep. So yeah, I've been Dazrin.
Waterbird, right here.
Connor, I'll try and find my webcam. I'll try and find it again.
And this has been the CawnrinBird cast. So see you next week.
See you next week.
Later.